right, Oval fans, I have to say, and I'm going to say the same thing in my Bruh review. I don't know what happened this week, but I feel like this was a major upgrade from the last episode. I mean, I did watch the episode at double speed, but around the 25-30 minute mark, I'm like, okay, let me put this back on normal speed because there was a lot going on. I mean, I know this sounds bad, but I think that maybe because Barry wasn't in the episode, it was actually a good episode. I mean, I don't know if that was really the reason, but I didn't find myself cringing at much in the episode. I just feel like it did a good job with the pacing. It set up a decent mystery for the remainder of the season, and that cliffhanger ending, man. And remember, we only have about what, episode 21, 22, 23, 24, 20. Yeah, we have 5 episodes left until the season's over. So, of course, it's going to get great right when the show's about to end. But this was episode 20 entitled Call of Duty. And I'm actually going to I know this is a bold number, but I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was really good. And before going any further in the video, make sure if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much. A few hours ago, we hit 125,000 subscribers. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And make sure you give the video a thumbs up. That way, it helps against the YouTube algorithm. And if you have not done so already, hit the bell notification icon. That way you won't miss out when I post new content, as well as all the various links in the description box below to my various forms of social media. Make sure you don't miss out on that. I think we're less than 400 followers away from 21,000 on Instagram. And yeah, so I'd appreciate if you checked it out. But let's hop into the episode here. So Yuma comes in the room as Max is looking at the blood on the floor, and she identifies it as potentially 1 to 2 day old blood. And she tells Max not to look into this because of the fact that he's looking into it. He knows this must be some sort of cover up. He opens the matrix box with Yuma, and they see a huge bloody mess, and they know this has something to do with potentially Denise. And he suspects maybe the first lady is responsible for it. And Yuma's like, first of all, I don't want a damn thing to do with this. And I ain't gonna lie, I wouldn't blame her. It's like, I want nothing to do with this. I didn't sign up for this. Let me get up out of here. It's like Max wants to be this public avenger, whereas Yuma's like, I know my place and it ain't involved in this situation here. So that is an interesting concept because Max has been with the family. I mean, Max is like the new kid on the block, whereas all these other security details, they've been in the White House, for quite some time. They have more experience. So it's almost like, and again, I know some people don't like it when I make comparisons to like anime or comic books, while other people are like, yeah, I understood that reference. It reminds me of Captain America Winter Soldier, where Captain America is like the all-American scout, and all of the SHIELD agents, of course, they're most of them Hydra, but just look at Winter Soldier. You have the guy who looks at things by the book. It's like, hey, we need to do this because it's the right thing to do, versus doing something that makes us no better than the bad guy. So basically, Max is Captain America, and Kyle could be like Crossbones, or yeah, that actually is a good analogy. So basically, Max wants to make sure this doesn't get covered up, whereas Yuma's like, hey, we need to let this thing just stay buried, because if we look into it, probably get our eyes poked out. Just that's the analogy I want to make there. Then we move over to Sam and Victoria. He gets the signal that everything's all clear, and he asks for his jacket back. And Victoria helps him put it on and, tries to flirt with him. Oh, you work out? And he's like, oh, yeah, well, I can get Kyle or somebody to schedule, a trainer for you to do the same kind of workouts I do. It's like, ooh, what if you do it myself? It's like, man, let's get you back to your family and husband. So then they walk out. And I really like this scene because as brief as it was, unfortunately, we see the first family together. And correct me if I am wrong, I don't think we've seen the first family together since the scene at the breakfast table where Hunter fires Richard way back in like what was it, episode 2 or episode 3. It's been a while. And I mean, Gail even exchanges one line of dialogue with Hunter. He's like, "Is family time over now?" And then he goes back to her room. But damn it, I will take it. I still wish we had a solid Gail and Hunter scene, but I just love the fact that we had the first family together. Yes, again, it was short lived, but I'm just glad we had them together. All right, so Victoria asked if Max and Yuma were the ones that checked the bedroom, and Sam's like, "Yeah, well, they found nothing." The kids go back to their room. Jason was excited. It's like, "Wow, that was amazing," because the whole drone situation. But then Victoria and Hunter. What was it? Victoria went into the bedroom, and I think Hunter goes in too. And right before he goes in, like, "Wow, seems like nobody likes me." He's like, "I like you, sir." He's like, "Thanks, Kyle." And he goes to the bedroom, and Victoria and Hunter do their same two-step as every episode. Smart remarks with each other. She knows that they know about the Matrix due to the box being a bit, not exactly how she left it. But you could also make the assumption that, well, Victoria, what if they lifted the box just to check behind it, which doesn't necessarily mean they opened it, but she could tell they opened it. And now Hunter's pissed because this is yet even more of a situation for them to deal with, because the more people that know about it, the more unlikely it's going to stay under wraps. And they don't even know who they can fully trust due to there being a leak there's a leak in this old White House. And the mattress may not move because this building was not made by man's hands. Technically, well, whatever. But they go from there. Sam tells the staff to go back up because it's safe. Priscilla's in there, and she smells the perfume on the jacket, which is confirmation to my theory video from a week or so ago, because she said there was perfume on his jacket. And I'm like, that could either be from the first lady because they were in close proximity when she was trying to interrogate him in the kitchen, or it could be from his brief moment where he went up to Lily's car at the police precinct because he was there to check on Barry, and Lily was there thinking whether or not she should talk about Donald trying to kill her. But turns out it's from the first lady because, wearing the jacket. And it seems to me that perfume was the same kind of perfume Priscilla smelled on him before. And yeah, first lady. So Sam goes to talk to Kareem about dropping the charges. And, he and Priscilla, pretty much say, hey, tonight's the night. All right, wait till we get off work. soon as I get home from work. Look, I know they want to have sex and all, but those two barely got any sleep the night before because of what went down with Nancy, Richard, and Barry. But hey, marriage, right? So then we go over to Kyle and Donald, and once again, another perk. This is like the second episode in a row, I believe, where the Kyle and Donald scenes were short, but I loved how it was mostly business because they've both been rattled by the first lady and they're trying to deal with the cover up. So all that, Kyle, Donald, freaky, creepy stuff. 'Cause I know a lot of people in the Facebook group, the Oval Facebook group, I have to monitor the post before I put them in the group. That goes for all of my Facebook groups, which again, links to all my various Facebook groups are in the description below. If you're watching this video and you're kind of new to the Facebook group, and guys, do see some people like, how come I have to have my posts monitored before I can get them in the group? These other groups I go to, I just post whatever I want. Because there are so many scam and spam posts, the ones that are like, hey, here's a free $100, or you can make $500 working from home, or they post links that are actually viruses. So I have to monitor every single post before I put it in the group. That's why sometimes people will submit a post, but I won't get it to it until like 12 hours later because I got other things to do. But yeah, that's just for the safety of everyone in the group. And because some people post porn and all that ridiculous nonsense, and that's what the group is not for. But during the monitoring over the past few episodes, I know a lot of people could not stand the scenes between Donald and Kyle, being super sexual. But to actually see these two at work, I liked it because I feel like this episode did a good job of letting everyone have a moment to shine. Where some people, I don't feel like there were any characters that were like, oh, they're so annoying, because everyone was on the screen as long as they needed to be, which I liked. All right, so anyway, more to the point. Kyle and Donald are talking. Turns out the drone stunt was a prank by three college kids in the what is it? Didn't Kyle say like the FBI was on it? I'm like, dang. So he also tells Donald about the fact that Max and Yuma were the ones who were checking the room. Is like Donald's like, okay, well, what's wrong? Well, when they came out, sir, they just didn't seem the same. It felt like something was off. So he's going to look into it. Sharon calls Nancy to check in on Richard. Nancy's short with Sharon due to the fact that, she cheated on Barry. And she referenced the scene about, being strong, the conversation they had before Tally ran into the house. Again, one of my favorite Nancy scenes. And the nurse brings Richard back in from his x-ray. He can go home later today. It was just a flesh wound. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it about these Tyler Perry shows where these people who get out of these surgeries and whatnot want to instantly go home? But you know what? I will say this much. In terms of like insurance and hospital fees and whatnot, I think I can understand why a person would want to get out as soon as possible, because look, every day or every hour I'm in this bed, the price goes up. So I can kind of understand it. But in the sense of, look, you just went through a lot. I would want to rest. I can understand that. In terms, I can see both sides. Like, where one person's super concerned, like, you don't need to be walking around. And I can see it from Nancy's perspective. Even if Richard is able to go home, Richard is not going to sit around and rest up. He's going to get up and try to work. Now, I'm not to quote Rihanna here, because I hate that song, even though it's annoyingly catchy. Work and fix things. But I kind of get it, though, because it's almost like without Richard around, everything falls apart. But to be fair, even when Richard is around, everything does kind of fall apart, mainly due to Barry, but whatever. So, yeah, I can understand him wanting to get out soon, but at least he's okay. It was just a flesh wound. And once again, I love the fact that he made a point to say Sharon was the reason that I was able to be saved, because she was a medical student. She called 911 because, if you remember, Kareem won't doing a damn thing. And Barry was just frozen and not doing anything at all. So it's like, and remember, he was trying to get Sharon to get away from my father. And it's like, you weren't doing a damn thing. So Sharon actually helped out. No, I don't condone her cheating, but at the same time, she jumped into action. And as Sam later says in the episode, this isn't your fault. So he tells Nancy to apologize. And I love the fact she did not fight it. It's like, okay, because she honestly didn't know Sharon was a key in helping Richard stay alive. But again, still confused about the whole knife and money situation. I honestly don't know what's going on with that. So we go over to Gail and Jason. He's asleep. Honestly, I thought he was doing something perverted under his sheets, but he was literally asleep. Gail walks in demanding the password, because remember, Jason has Hunter's passwords to his like security and stuff like that. Basically, I guess you could say an unmonitored like internet connection, I guess is the best way to put it. So she takes his laptop. I love the fact that she opened the laptop and it's like, look, you seriously need help. And you know the thing that gets me, why don't any of these characters have passcodes on their laptops and whatnot? Remember back to the haves and the have-nots, and remember, I want to need you to go way back on the haves and the have-nots. It was when Melissa first came on the show. And not that exact episode, because I remember that Jeffrey and Melissa had their first date. Then in the following episode, they went back to his apartment and they had sex. Well, I guess you can call it sex, because Melissa was the one who did everything. But basically, I remember she's like, "Oh wow, she took off her clothes. Like, oh wow, you don't have an erection. Fine, let's watch porn." So she grabs Jeffrey's laptop and instantly pulls up porn, and I'm like, dude, you don't have a password on your laptop? I know I do on my iPod, on my laptop. If it's powered down, or if I close my laptop and open it back up, I have to put in the password. But I get it, plot convenience, they need to move the story along. But no, it's pretty ridiculous. So Gail goes to her room, looks up information about, Picky's death, to see what the media is saying about it. And then she also randomly finds something around family law, a family law firm, Brian Winters. Remember that name, Brian Winters. So Sam goes to see Max and Yuma. Well, actually, Sam talks to Max and Yuma saying, hey, I got to head out for a bit, because remember, he's going to see Kareem about dropping the charges. And Max tries to, bring up the fact that they found some suspicious things in the residency. And Yuma tries to shut it down. And Sam's like, look, if they want it to be private, then it's private. Because, again, he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he just knows about the mattress exchange. He doesn't know about all the dirty deeds in between. Because if memory serves, Sam was out taking care of the situation with getting Barry out of jail the first time when he talked with Jake. This was before he drove into the pharmacy. So I don't believe Sam was in the White House when this went down. I know that he asked Kyle about the whole blackout thing. I mean, I think Kyle was the one that asked for the blackout thing, but I got to go back. Look, that was like episode, 12? So, guys, it's been a while. And then we go over to Hunter and Kyle. And my God, Kyle, that smug attitude. Maybe that's probably why I've been liking Kyle the past couple episodes, because he hasn't been able to talk shit the way he usually does and get away with it. Because you just look at how he talks to Lily, and then he tries to make one smart, sarcastic remark to Hunter, and boy, did he get it. Because Hunter's like, so, do you know what it's like to shoot someone? Have you ever shot someone before? Yes, sir, I have. So, what's it like to kill someone? Well, why don't you tell me, sir? And then Hunter went in. I loved it. And he basically snaps on him about it and says, hey, well, I think 2 of the agents noticed that there was something wrong in the room with the mattress. Are you talking over me, Kyle? And it's like, oh God. So basically, Kyle leaves to take care of the situation. Did I dismiss you? And I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what it reminded me of being a kid, like being in school when teachers would be like, look, I dismiss you. The bell doesn't dismiss you. Because if you go back to grade school, you know what it's like to pack up your things before the class ends. And I can completely, looking back as an adult, I completely understand how that would make a teacher feel disrespected. If, like, let's say there are 3 minutes left on the clock or even 45 seconds and you begin to pack up while they're still teaching, I understand that being disrespectful. And then the situation of the bell doesn't dismiss you, I do. So basically when the bell rings and it's like you're trying to go to another class, but it's like, no, they have to say class dismissed before you can actually leave. But from a student's perspective, I was from a school where it's like, tardies were like a very serious thing. Like if you got 3 tardies or whatever, you get detention. I don't think I ever got a tardy before. Yeah, that actually explains a lot about me back when I was working at the call center. Like I was the kind of person that would get to work maybe 30 minutes or so early because I was never able to just get to work and jump on the phones. I had to get myself situated and all that stuff just to get in the zone. But I'm only bringing up that side story because it really did, bring me back to those days about did I dismiss you? But to be fair, in Kyle's defense, Hunter was like, then go handle it. So, I mean, when somebody says that, I would just initially assume that, okay, you want me to go up to the bedroom, take care of business, even though Victoria isn't going to let me do it. So fine, I'll go. And I was laughing when the scene was done because what he said, look, you disposable little shit. And I'm like, dude, Hunter, you have no power. You really don't. So, I mean, I understand it. So he's going to snap at Kyle. I mean, remember back to like episode 11 and 12 when Kyle took over Max's position and Hunter was all like, wow, he's way better than Max. And he's like, he was able to bring Denise here. He was able to get the family out of here in like no time flat. This is amazing. Boy, Hunter, you don't even know. So then we go over to Kareem, who's, about to leave to go get some lunch for him and Sharon. Sam comes up and talks about the entire situation involving Barry, her being with Kareem, and Richard being okay. But at the same time, Kareem needs to drop the charges to get Barry off. And I honestly agree with Sharon in terms of everything she said. Again, the fact that Barry was absent in the episode, but he was really being called out for a lot of bullshit. The fact that, wait, Sam, does he even appreciate all you're doing for him? Sam, I understand he's lost his daughter and everything, so he's going through a lot, but how long do we have to deal with disrespect? And Sam's like, who's we? And it's like, let's take a look at you. And I'm thinking, Sam, I see both sides of this situation, but Sharon to me is speaking for the entire audience because I'm not going to sit up here and say I understand what it's like to lose a child or something because I don't. But Barry being an asshole to everyone around him isn't helping. Like, look at everything all the other characters have done for him. Like, Jake has said over and over all the things Sam has put on the line for Barry to get him out of jail the first time. And then it turns out that he goes and drives a vehicle through the entrance of the pharmacy. Mind you, later they found out the reason he got arrested for the knife and money. wasn't really valid. But, at the same time, it's just the fact that he's disrespectful. He's cold. It's just, you can't excuse that. So I absolutely understand what Sharon. Do I agree with the cheating? No, but even so, Nancy warned Barry. It's like, the way you're acting now, you're pushing everyone away. So Barry's actually facing, the consequences of his actions and how he treats people. So I completely agree with everything Sharon said. But basically, Sam's like, hey, you have more power over this situation than you know. I'm going to go grab some lunch and talk with Kareem when he gets back. And we go back over to Max and Kyle. Max is coming out of the video surveillance room. Kyle's on his case for him not having clearance to do so, accused of him of, being a spy or whatever. And then Max lets Kyle know that, hey, I know there's been some foul play going on involving Denise, so don't try no bull crap with me. And then we go over to Priscilla walking into the kitchen and seeing, Priscilla in the kitchen. Victoria walks in. She wants some tea to calm down. And pretty much, talks about the whole marriage, about basically asking about the marriage between Priscilla and Sam. And, that's the one thing when somebody like questions your integrity. It's like, oh, has he been faithful? Have you been faithful? Do you have any problems? That kind of thing. So Priscilla was pissed off when she like took that lemon or whatever she did. Because I love the fact that she's visibly being flustered. Remember, she's usually the one who's trying to keep Jean in check because she is, just pissed off with everything that's been going on, which I can understand. But to see, no, when you go back to the early episodes, Priscilla went through a lot with Gail, but I feel like now she's dealing with the First Lady in the same respect. And that's pretty interesting to see the dynamic between those two. All right, so Kyle's in the room trying to get the mattress removed. Victoria stops it from happening. And it's like, I understand things from Kyle's perspective, but it's like, well, the president said to get this resolved, but then the First Lady tells you to stop. So at what? Honestly, I'm honestly confused. I really don't know what to do in that situation. It's like, when one parent tells you can do something while another one says you can't, like, who has the authority? It's like, I don't know. It's weird. But basically, she's like, do you have an attitude with me? Like, no, ma'am. So I think that's interesting because of the fact that Kyle walked away when, Victoria said to leave. But I think because, honestly, when Victoria called him out, I thought she was going to say because he didn't say yes, ma'am, and then leave. But basically, it was due to the attitude. So Kyle has been fed up with both the president and the First Lady lately. Then we go over to Yuma and Max. She found out about Denise's murder. And Max is like, well, hey, I was in there. They probably have security footage for what's been going down. So he gives the keys to Yuma to go down to the shop to find out about the camera footage because whoever placed her body will be on camera there. And it's like, interesting. So Donald and Kyle have one more conversation. Basically, Kyle has been like, the silent alarm on everything. Like whenever something goes down with the mattress and whatnot, or whatever it is, an issue with the First Lady or president, he goes to Donald's office, lets him know what's going on. And Donald just says, okay, we'll just get this done this way and that way. So basically it's like, okay, take care of Yuma and Max. And remember, they're agents. So I don't know if Donald was flat out saying eliminate them or handle the situation. So I honestly couldn't tell you. But then we go to Brian Winter's office. Remember, the family law firm agent. And his secretary says, like, look, the first daughter contacted me. Look, at first I didn't realize it was her, but we talked over the phone. Then we FaceTimed. And look, this is the legit situation. Email her and then call her. So stuff is going to get real. Then finally, we go over to Yuma, going over to Denise's boutique to browse around for this footage. And she gets shot a couple of times when she opens the back door to one, I believe, the dressing room area, the same place that Victoria whooped Denise's ass. And I think it was Kyle because of the fact that whoever shot her, you can clearly see when the flash from the gun went off when it was fired. You can see whoever it was had like blue sleeves. So yeah, it was somebody in like White House attire, if you will. So I believe it was Kyle who shot Yuma. Is she dead now? I don't know. But to me, I think whoever shot her did so only when they were 100% sure it was Yuma, because Yuma opened the door and the person's hand armed with the gun, it didn't raise until Yuma was able to be identified. So I think that was a nice little touch there, as opposed to whoever was behind the door shooting as soon as the door opened up. So that's why I think was pretty interesting there, because I would assume that these White House vehicles have trackers or something. So maybe Kyle was able to figure out what was going on. So he intercepted them. And I do believe that it was Kyle that shot Yuma. It looked like it was a couple of low aim bullets. I don't know if they were to the chest or to the legs or whatever, but is Yuma dead? I don't know, but she got shot a couple of times. So with that being said, I really liked this episode. I really did. So I don't hesitate to say that Call of Duty was definitely a 9 out of 10 in my book. So let me know what you thought in the comment section below. If you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Or if you want to join Patreon, do so for as little as $1 a month.